CQ calling all radio amateurs and listeners. This is Golf Bravo 2 Romeo Sierra, the news broadcasting service of the Radio Society of Great Britain. This broadcast comes to you from amateur radio station Golf 4 Juliet Bravo Delta in Mepershall, Bedfordshire. Welcome and thanks for joining us. It's Sunday the 4th of August and here is the GB2RS news broadcast, which was prepared for you by the RSGB and made available to all radio amateurs and listeners. You can also find this news bulletin on the RSGB website at rsgb.org, along with links to groups and organisations that may be mentioned in this broadcast. This week's news headlines. Bookings are open for the RSGB 2024 annual convention. Schools can soon apply for a contact with the International Space Station. And the RSGB has announced its National Coding Week coordinator. We'll have more on those items soon, but first, bookings are open for our 2024 convention, with options to suit your preferences. The key speaker is Rafał Lukowiecki, Echo India 6 Lima Alpha, who has helped modernise the Irish licence and is part of the IARU Region 1 group modernising its ethics and operating procedures. Rafał is a popular speaker and he's presented with Bill Gates and Neil Armstrong. And for details of how to book, see rsgb.org/convention. Schools in Great Britain and Northern Ireland can apply for an amateur radio contact with an ISS astronaut. Contacts could take place in late 2025 as a way to include space in the STEM curriculum and for the excitement of speaking to an astronaut. Go to ariss-eu.org to find out more. And you can apply via the School Contacts section from the 1st of September to the 26th of October. You can also see a video of Tim Peake's School Contacts in the Excitement of Amateur Radio section on the RSGB YouTube channel, and you'll find that at youtube.com/theRSGB. Nigel Thrower, Golf 3 Yankee Sierra Whiskey, is this year's RSGB National Coding Week coordinator. We took part in the event last year and many groups had fun with the activities. You can see more at rsgb.org/coding, and we'd like to develop our involvement with Nigel's help. Everyone can take part and we'll publish new activities, and if you enjoy programming or coding, do get in touch. We want people to share activities that will inspire others. And we also want to hear from radio amateurs who could lead activities with groups in their area. National Coding Week runs from the 16th to the 22nd of September. And to get involved or to find out more, you can contact Nigel. His email address is ncw, that's November Charlie Whiskey, at rsgb.org.uk. Our Tonight at 8 webinar series takes a break in August, but there are two great presentations for the autumn programme. On Monday the 2nd of September, Brian Coleman, Golf 4 November Sierra, will update you on the Meteor Beacon project. Then on Monday the 7th of October, you can hear about Aircraft Scatter, the Hitchhiker's Guide. That's being presented by Ian White, Golf Mike 3 Sierra Echo Kilo. So put those dates in your diary and you can see more at rsgb.org/webinars. The Golf 5 Romeo Papa Trophy is an annual award to encourage newcomers to HFDXing. The award is open to anyone who has recently discovered and maybe made significant progress in HFDXing. If you're an established HFDXer and if you want to recommend someone for the award, send in your nomination now. Your nominee should be an up-and-coming HFDXer who's made rapid progress in the last year and has achievements to show, for example, a good total of new countries or some serious HFD expedition activity. Send your nominations to Ian Greenshields, Golf 4 Foxtrot Sierra Uniform, by email to hf.manager at rsgb.org.uk, and the deadline for your submissions is Friday the 13th of September. Now, our remote invigilation exam team was delighted that the 8,000th foundation candidate passed the exam online recently. We introduced remote invigilated exams in 2020, and we thank all the dedicated remote invigilation team and send good wishes to all candidates as they discover more about amateur radio. The July edition of Radcom Basics is now available for you online, and members can see the new features which are aimed at new licensees or anyone who enjoys reading about the basic principles behind the many facets of amateur radio. It includes articles on checking and testing components, building and tuning a dual-band end-fed half-wave antenna, and the benefits of operating by the sea. You can read Radcom Basics at rsgb.org/radcom-basics. And just a reminder for you to send details of all your news and events to radcom at rsgb.org.uk. The deadline for submissions is 10 a.m. on the Thursdays before the Sunday broadcast each week, and it's a great opportunity for you to get free publicity for your club. And now we have details of rallies and events. Part 1 of the British Amateur Television Club Convention for Amateur TV 2024, also known as CAT 24, takes place today the 4th from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m, and that's at the Midland Air Museum on Rowley Road, Coventry, and the postcode is Charlie Victor 3 4 Foxtrot Romeo. And there you'll be able to meet, take part in show and tell activities. You can use test gear and fix equipment using that test gear. You can also enjoy a bring and buy event. For more information, follow the events tab at the BATC website, which is bravoalphatangoCharlie.org.uk. The Kings Lynn Amateur Radio Club's 34th Great Eastern Radio Rally is on today the 4th at the Gaywood Community Centre on Gayton Road, Kings Lynn in Norfolk. Doors open at 9 a.m. and admission is £2.50. Traders are welcome to turn up from 7 a.m. An outdoor pitch will cost you £8 and indoors a table is £10. Car parking is free, and there'll be trade stands, a bring and buy area and on-site catering. For more information you can email rally.klarc, that's Kilo Lima Alpha Romeo Charlie, at gmail.com. Flight Refuelling Amateur Radio Society's Hamfest takes place on Sunday the 11th of August at the Cobham Sports and Social Club ground. That's in Merley near Wimborne in Dorset. The doors will open from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. With admission of £5, and that includes car parking. Catering and bar are on site, and for more information and to book, visit FRARS, that's Foxtrot Romeo Alpha Romeo Sierra.co.uk/Hamfest. And now we have the special event news. International Cat Day is on Thursday the 8th of August, and in celebration Golf Bravo 4 Cat, or Golf Bravo 4 Charlie Alpha Tango, will be on the air from West Sussex from Thursday afternoon until the following Sunday evening. Activity will be on the HF bands, mainly on 40 metres, but the higher bands as well if they're open. As cats are loved internationally, Ed, Mike Zero Mike November Golf, will try to speak as many foreign languages on the air as possible, even if it's just a word or two. Please see qrz.com for details. In celebration of the Olympic Games, Thierry, Foxtrot Yankee 4 Juliet India, is active as Tango Oscar 973 Foxtrot Yankee. He's operating from French Guiana until the 10th of August. He's operating SSB and FT8, and he was seen recently on the 10-metre band. And you can QSL via Echo Alpha 5 Golf Lima. Now we have the DX news. Tom, Whiskey 1 Echo Alpha Tango, is active as Whiskey 1 Echo Alpha Tango / Victor Kilo 4. He's operating from Hamilton Island. That's IOTA reference Oscar Charlie 160, and he'll be active until the 5th of August. He's operating a low power on the 20-metre band only, and you can QSL via Logbook of the World or directly to Tom's home call, which is Whiskey 1 Echo Alpha Tango. Pierre, Victor Kilo 3 Kilo Tango Bravo, is active as Victor Yankee 0 Echo Romeo Charlie. That's from the Eureka Amateur Radio Club station on Ellesmere Island. That's IOTA reference November Alpha 008, and he'll be active until the 7th of August. He'll mainly be on the 20, 15 and 10 metre bands, occasionally on 17 and 12 metres, and he operates SSB, CW and digital modes. And you can QSL via Mike 0 Oscar X-Ray Oscars OQRS. Now we have the contest news. Today the 4th, it's the 432 MHz low power contest running from 0800 to 1200 UTC. Using all modes on the 70 centimetre band, the exchange is signal report, serial number, locator and your 2-letter postcode. On Tuesday the 6th, it's the 144 MHz FM activity contest. That will run from 1800 to 1855 UTC. Using FM on the 2-metre band, the exchange is signal report, serial number and locator. Also on Tuesday the 6th, it's the 144 MHz UK activity contest, running from 1900 to 2130 UTC. This contest uses all modes on the 2-metre band, and the exchange is signal report, serial number and locator. Then on Wednesday the 7th, it's the 144 MHz FT8 activity 4-hour contest, and that runs from 1700 to 2100 UTC. Using FT8 on the 2-metre band, the exchange is report and 4-character locator. Also on Wednesday the 7th, it's the 144 MHz FT8 activity 2-hour contest, running from 1900 to 2100 UTC. Using FT8 on the 2-metre band, the exchange is report and 4-character locator. And any stations entering the 4-hour contest may also enter the 2-hour contest. On Thursday the 8th, it's the 50 MHz UK activity contest, which runs from 1900 to 2130 UTC. Using all modes on the 6-metre band, the exchange is signal report, serial number and locator. The 6-metre Group Summer Marathon started on Saturday the 4th of May and ends today, Sunday the 4th of August. Using all modes on the 6-metre band, the exchange is your 4-character locator. The Work Tool Europe DXCW contest starts at 000 UTC on Saturday the 10th and runs until 23:59 UTC on Sunday the 11th of August. Using Morse code on the 80 to 10 metre bands where contests are allowed, the exchange is signal report and serial number. Well, now we have the radio propagation report, which was compiled by G0KYA, G3YLA and G4BAO on Thursday the 1st of August. We had another week of high solar flux with unsettled geomagnetic indices. The Solar Flux Index, or SFI, was above 200 from the 27th of July onwards. There was a worry that multiple coronal mass ejections, or CMEs, might push the KP index up during the week, but the KP index didn't rise above 5. Now, why was that? Well, the first of several coronal mass ejections was expected to pass Earth on the 29th of July. The solar wind speed rose from 330 kilometers per second to around 450 kilometers per second, but only brief minor G1 geomagnetic storming was seen. The solar wind stream was fast at more than 450 kilometers per second, but its fixed magnetic field was mostly north-phasing or neutral, so it didn't really couple with the Earth's magnetic field, and that resulted in a KP index of only 5. If there had been a south-facing interplanetary magnetic field, or BZ, it could have been much higher. The ionosphere was affected on Wednesday the 31st of July, but by 1830 UTC things were back to normal, with a critical frequency of 7.4 MHz, and that gave a maximum usable frequency over a 3,000 kilometre path of 21 MHz. Disturbances on Thursday the 1st of August caused the KP index to rise to 5 again, but it only lasted for 3 hours. We're still in a period of high solar activity, with many M and X-class flares, coronal mass ejections and high sunspot numbers. A group of sunspots is rotating into view, so it should be an interesting week ahead. The solar flux index should fall next week, perhaps into the 180s to 190s. HF propagation remains good at times, but we're still in the summer doldrums with reduced daytime maximum usable frequencies. Keep an eye on solarham.com for up-to-date geomagnetic information, and the 15-metre band is the favoured daytime DX band, with occasional F2 layer openings on the 12 and 10-metre bands. And most 10-metre openings are still due to sporadic E. And now we have the VHF and up propagation news. This was compiled by G3YLA and G4BAO. The weather patterns that drive some of our radio propagation conditions are changing. As we ended last week, there were still areas of high pressure near southern areas for some useful tropo across the North Sea, English Channel and south over Biscay. The slow change towards low pressure will gradually extend its influence over the whole country next week, so less tropo and more rain scatter. This has been available over some northern areas recently and from heavy thunderstorms in the south. And it may be a useful mode for exploring the gigahertz bands in the coming week, particularly where heavy thundery rain occurs. Meteor scatter is also a worthwhile pursuit, as we're still in the Delta Aquarids meteor shower, which eventually blends into the August Perseids later in the month. The solar conditions are challenging, and the KP index has been high enough to make auroral conditions viable, either fluttery signals on the LF bands overnight or perhaps auroral conditions on the VHF bands. Spacewatch.com is a good source of KP index data and much more as well. Sporadic E is worth checking for, and although the summer jet stream pattern is quite weak, it is still there, perhaps with a bit more northerly influence now than earlier in the summer, and this means that paths towards the east to Scandinavia and the Baltic might be available, although other directions can occur, of course. Moon declination started to fall from Friday the 2nd, so moon window lengths and peak moon elevation will reduce. Apogee is on the Thursday the 8th, when path losses will be at their highest for the month. 144 MHz sky noise is low until the evening of Saturday the 3rd, when we will see the moon and sun close in the sky until moonset on Sunday, and after that sky noise is low. And that's all from the propagation team this week. This is Golf Bravo 2 Romeo Sierra, the news broadcasting service of the Radio Society of Great Britain, and this transmission is being brought to you by Golf 4 Juliet Bravo Delta in Meppershall, Bedfordshire. Next we have the local news, and all details of RSGB affiliated clubs and societies are available on the RSGB website, and that includes the email addresses and website links where we have them. We'll start off with news for the Midlands. Meetings of the Bolsover Amateur Radio Society take place every other Tuesday starting at 8 p.m, and they're held at the Bainbridge Hall in Bolsover, and the postcode for your sat-nav is Sierra 446 Papa X-ray. You can get more information and reminders for meetings on the Society's Facebook page. That's available at Bolsover ARS, and you can contact Vin Golf 4 Kilo Sierra Yankee on 01246 827135 for more information on the club. Bromsgrove and District Amateur Radio Club meet every Friday from 8 p.m, and members also have a regular coffee morning on Wednesdays in the club shack from 10:30 a.m. Then on Monday and Wednesday evenings there are nets on 145.375 MHz from 7:30 p.m. Burton Amateur Radio Club has open nets around 145.575 MHz at 10 a.m. on Sundays and 8 p.m. on Thursdays. Then on Monday they have slow Morse exercises on 14.055 MHz starting at 11 a.m. Then the club gets together every Wednesday from 7:30 p.m. and on Thursday they have a net on 145.575 MHz from 8 p.m. The Central Radio Amateur Circle has a net on 145.575 MHz from 7:30 p.m. on Tuesday and from 12 p.m. on Saturday, and the group will be having a Google meeting at 7 p.m. on Wednesday. Cheltenham Amateur Radio Association has daily nets on 145.400 MHz at 8:10 a.m. and the Friday net is on 144.350 MHz from 8 p.m. And you can get more information on the club's website, which is golf5bravokilo.uk. The Dudley and District Amateur Radio Society meet every Tuesday from 6 to 10 a.m. at the Wrighton Mill. That's on 59 Vale Street in Upper Gornal, Dudley, and the postcode is Delta Yankee 3 X-Ray Foxtrot. Gloucester Amateur Radio and Electronic Society have an informal net every day on 145.475 MHz FM starting at 3:30 p.m. Then on Wednesday they have a net from 7:30 p.m. on 145.475 MHz, and on Thursday they have a net from 7:30 p.m. on 145.475, then moving to 80 meters SSB later on. On Friday the net is on 432.220 MHz SSB from 7:30 p.m. On Wednesday, Hinckley Amateur Radio and Electronic Society will meet at the Burbage Infant School. That's on Grove Road in Burbage. Kettering and District Amateur Radio Society have their breakfast meeting from 10 a.m. on Sundays, and on Tuesdays they have a club meeting from 7 p.m. On Thursday they have a net on 145.300 MHz from 7 p.m. On Mondays, Leicester Radio Society meet at its HQ and via Zoom from 7:30 p.m. and on Thursdays they have a club meeting from 10 a.m. On Tuesday, Lincoln Shortwave Club will be active from Lincolnshire Aviation Centre in East Kirby. Members will also meet at the BSA Village Hall from 7:30 p.m. on Wednesday and from 7:30 a.m. on Saturday. Then on Thursday they have a net via GB2RS, or if that's busy, on 145.350 MHz. For more information you can visit the club's website, which is golf5foxtrotzulu.co.uk. On Tuesday, Loughborough and District Amateur Radio Club will operate portable from Wymeswold, and that's subject to the weather. On Wednesday, Malvern Hills Amateurs Club have a net on 145.350 MHz FM, and that starts at 8 p.m. On Wednesday, Midland Amateur Radio Society will hold a general meeting, and then they'll be running training classes. On Thursday, Northampton Radio Club will hold an informal meeting from 8 p.m. and for more information about the club you can visit their website, which is Northampton Radio Club, that's all one word, .co.uk. On Monday, Nunsfield House Amateur Radio Group will have a shack night and club net on 145.300 MHz from 8 p.m. Then on Friday the group will meet to discuss shack feeder management. On Monday, RAF Waddington Amateur Radio Club has a net on 145.325 MHz from 7:30 p.m. and on Wednesday there's a Morse code practice at 8 p.m. on 144.085 MHz, and the club will meet at the Pie Wipe from 8 p.m. on Friday. Rugby Amateur Transmitting Society has weekday nets at 8:30 a.m. on 144.275 MHz SSB. They also have training and practice Morse code nets. They're on Monday and Thursday at 4:30 p.m. on 144.275 MHz. They start off using SSB and then move across to Morse code. And the society will meet from 8 p.m. on Tuesday and from 2 p.m. on Saturday at the Borton Lee 12th Rugby Scouts Hut. Then on Friday they have a net from 8 p.m. on 1913 kHz. On Thursday, Salop Amateur Radio Society will meet for a junk sale and auction. On Thursday, Solihull Amateur Radio Society have their club net. That's around 145.450 MHz from 8 p.m. And South Birmingham Radio Society have their open club nights on Fridays from 7:30 p.m. Visitors are welcome to attend the Society's Tuesday coffee morning, and that starts at 10:30 a.m. On Tuesday, South Derbyshire and Ashby Wolds Amateur Radio Group has an open net on 144.225 MHz SSB. That starts at 7 p.m. And members will have a club evening from 7 p.m. on Wednesday. And then on Friday, they have a net on 70.425 MHz from 7 p.m. On Sundays, Stafford and Districts Amateur Radio Society have their net on 145.375 MHz from 8 p.m. And on Wednesdays, members meet at the Wildwood Community Centre, also from 8 p.m. Stourbridge and District Amateur Radio Society meets at the Norton Snooker Club from 8 p.m. on Mondays. On Monday, Stratford-upon-Avon and District Radio Society have their net on 145.275 MHz from 8 p.m. And for more information on the club, visit their website, which is Stratford Radio Society, that's all one word, .org.uk. On Monday, Sutton Coldfield Amateur Radio Society have their open net around 145.250 MHz starting at 7:30 p.m. On Wednesday, Telford and District Amateur Radio Society will hold a committee meeting from 7:30 p.m. And for more information about the society, visit their website, which is TDARS, that's Tango Delta Alpha Romeo Sierra, .org.uk. Now listen out a bit later today for the Welland Valley Amateur Radio Society. They'll be active as Golf Bravo 4 Whiskey Victor Romeo during Operation Market Harborough. Then tomorrow the 5th, the Society has its net on 145.275 MHz from 7 p.m. The Wolverhampton Amateur Radio Society meet every Wednesday from 7:30 p.m. at the Wednesfield and Woodend British Legion. On Sundays, they have a net around 145.350 MHz from 8 p.m. And today, the 4th, members are having a field day activity at Northycote Farm and Country Park in Wolverhampton. And you can find more information on their website, which is wolverhamptonars, all one word, .co.uk, or on social media, have a look for @WolvesARS. On Sundays, Withell Radio Club has its net on 145.225 MHz from 7 p.m. And on Tuesday, members will have a club night from 7:30 p.m. We now move down to the South East and East Anglia. Banbury Amateur Radio Society have their net most evenings on 144.5125 MHz FM, and members meet for a club night on Wednesdays. And for more information, you can visit their website, which is Banbury ARES, that's all one word, banburyares.co.uk. On Wednesday, Bishop Stortford Amateur Radio Society has its net from 8 p.m. on 145.5625 MHz, and everyone's welcome to join in. Bracknell Amateur Radio Club has its net via GB3BN, that's from 5 p.m. on Sundays. Then on Wednesday, they go on 145.375 MHz FM from 8 p.m. Today, Braintree and District Amateur Radio Society will meet for its summer camp at Southley Green. Then on Tuesday, the Society has a net on 145.375 MHz FM from 8 p.m. On Wednesday, Bromley and District Amateur Radio Society has its net starting on 145.500 MHz from 9 p.m. And for more information on the club, visit their website, which is BDARS, that's Bravo Delta Alpha Romeo Sierra, .wordpress.com. Burnham Beeches Radio Club has its net from 10:30 a.m. on Sundays. They start out on 145.500 MHz and then change frequency to 145.275 MHz. Bury St Edmunds Amateur Radio Society meet at the Rougham Tower Museum on the third Wednesday of each month. It's a small but very active club, and there are club nets every day of the week except Sunday. You can find details on the club's website, which is Bravo Sierra Echo Alpha Romeo Sierra.co.uk. The club's general chat frequencies are 144.7375 MHz FM and 433.400 MHz FM. On Sundays, Chelmsford Amateur Radio Society has a Morse code net on 144.060 MHz from 8 p.m. and on Monday they have Morse code classes from 7:30 p.m. around 3542 kHz, and that's followed at 8:15 p.m. by GB2CW slow Morse transmissions on 3555 kHz. Then on Thursday they have Morse code classes via Skype, and that starts at 7 p.m. On Tuesday, Chelsea Pensioners Radio Club have their net on 145.375 MHz from 2 p.m. On Tuesday, Chippenham and District Amateur Radio Club will have a club night. On Tuesday, Colchester Radio Amateurs Club have its net on 433.400 MHz from 7 p.m. and on 1.920 MHz lower sideband from 8 p.m. Then on Wednesday they have an open net around 145.350 MHz from 7 p.m. and on Thursday they have an open net which is on 3.685 MHz from 7 p.m. On Friday they move to HF. They have an open DX net on 14.125 MHz with help on 145.350 MHz starting at 2:30 p.m. On Sundays, Coulsdon Amateur Transmitting Society have their net on 145.400 MHz from 11 a.m. and on 3.700 MHz from 5 p.m. Then on Wednesday they have a net around 70.425 from 9 p.m. Crawley Amateur Radio Club will meet from 11 a.m. on Sunday, 8 p.m. on Wednesday and 2 p.m. on Friday. The club meets at Hut 18, that's on Tilgate Drive in Crawley, and the postcode for your sat-nav is Romeo Hotel 105 Hotel Whiskey. And for more information you can contact Stuart, G4JBD. Stuart's phone number is 0772 006 8493. Cray Valley Radio Society is located at the Scout Hut headquarters at the rear of 61 to 71 Southend Crescent in Eltham, London, and the postcode is Sierra Echo 9 to Sierra Delta. It has 2 places remaining on its November face-to-face full license course, and any intermediate license holders are welcome to apply. For more information you can contact Dave, G4NOW. His phone number is 07956 834 350. Cray Valley Radio Society's 2-metre and 4-metre FM nets are held on 145.350 MHz on Sundays at 10 a.m. and on 70.425 MHz on Fridays at 8 p.m. They also have a top band SSB net which moves to AM later on. That's held on the first Monday of each month around 1905 kHz at 8 p.m. On Wednesdays, Crystal Palace Radio and Electronics Club have their net on 145.525 MHz from 8 p.m. and on Saturday the club has a net on 51.550 MHz FM from 8 p.m. On Sundays, Darrenth Valley Radio Society has a net on 145.475 MHz at 8 a.m. Dorking and District Radio Society have their net each day from Monday to Saturday on 144.775 MHz FM at 10 a.m. On Thursday, Dover Amateur Radio Club will have a club night, and for more information visit their website, which is darc.online. Essex Ham has its net on Monday via GB3DA, that's from 8 p.m, and they also have chat room and audio feed at ham.net. On Sundays, Felixstowe and District Amateur Radio Society have their net on 145.400 MHz from 10 a.m. Then on Monday they have a car boot sale in the Shack car park, and that will be from 6:30 p.m. Then on Wednesday they have a net via GB2RS from 7:30 p.m. On Friday, Hammersmith Amateur Radio Society will meet online from 8 p.m. and for more information go to their website, which is Mike 0 X-Ray Hotel Sierra.uk. On Tuesday, Harlow and District Amateur Radio Society will have a technical evening, and on Wednesday they have their net on 145.425 MHz from 7:30 p.m. Then on Friday, the Society will meet from 8 p.m. and visitors are welcome to attend as well. Hastings Electronics and Radio Club holds a daily net on the GB2RS repeater at 10 a.m. They also have a Morse code net on Monday nights at 8 p.m. on 144.575 MHz. The Morse net is aimed at anyone new to Morse or who wishes to brush up on their Morse code skills, and non-members are welcome to take part as well. The net is then followed by general conversation. Then on Wednesdays, usually at 1 p.m, members meet up at various places in the area for an afternoon of portable radio on the air using both HF and VHF on SSB, Morse code and FM. Non-members again are welcome to take part. And the details do vary each week, so it's a good idea to visit their website, which is hastings-electronics-radio-club.com. If you visit that on the Wednesday morning, you'll be able to see up-to-date information about the location and time of their next field meeting. On Sundays, Horndean and District Amateur Radio Club have their Morse code net at 9 a.m. around 1950 kHz, and then they move to SSB at around 9:30 a.m. They also have a net at 8 p.m. on 433.450 MHz. Then on Monday they have a net around 1950 kHz from 7:30 p.m. And then on Wednesday, also at 7:30 p.m, they meet on 145.375 MHz. On Sundays, the Isle of Wight Radio Society have their net via GB7PO and GB7MT from 8 p.m. They also have a net on Monday to Friday via GB3IW from 6:15 a.m. Then on Tuesday, they take part in the Bramble Net. That's through GB3IW from 7:30 p.m. Then on Thursday, they have another net via GB3IW. That's then followed by a Zoom meeting from 8 p.m. On Fridays, members meet at the Haylands Farm in Ryde, and foundation and intermediate license training is available at those meetings. On Friday, Itchen Valley Amateur Radio Club will meet from 8 p.m. Loughton and Epping Forest Amateur Radio Society have their net on Wednesday from 8 p.m. on Brandmeister DMR Talk Group 23511. Then on Thursday at 8 p.m. they meet on 144.725 MHz FM. On Friday they'll be having a technical night and DMR clinic at All Saints House starting at 8 p.m. Lowestoft District and Pye Amateur Radio Club have their net on Sundays on 433.575 MHz. That's at 8 p.m. And on Tuesday, also at 8 p.m, they meet on 145.475 MHz. The club meets on Thursday evenings from 7:30 p.m, and then the final net of the week is on Friday on 51.490 MHz from 8 p.m. The Martello Tower Group have their net night every Monday at 8 p.m. via the GB3CL repeater. Then on Sundays the group has a net via GB3CE from 8 p.m. Medway Amateur Receiving and Transmitting Society have nets taking place each weekday from 9:30 a.m. on 144.650 MHz. On Friday, Mid Sussex Amateur Radio Society will be listening to a talk by Phil, G4UDU. That's on the subject of ballons and traps. And the meeting is at the Millfield Suite in Cypress Hall, Burgess Hill, and it starts at 7:30 p.m. On Monday, Milton Keynes Amateur Radio Society will hold a committee meeting. Then on Wednesday, they have a net on 28.390 MHz from 8 p.m. And on Friday, the Society will meet via Zoom for coffee and chat from 10:30 a.m. Norfolk Amateur Radio Club have their net via GB3NB every Monday from 7:30 p.m, followed by a Morse code net on 3.543 MHz at 8:30 p.m. The Shefford and District Radio Society has a regular top band net on Monday evenings at 7 p.m. on 1.985 MHz lower sideband. And for those who can't make it to the club net, there's a net every Wednesday at 8 p.m. That's on GB3PI, so that you can catch up with the news of activities and developments within the society. And you can also share your own experience with other members. The Shefford and District Radio Society is now on summer recess for meetings, but they will get together again on the 12th of September once the hall has been refurbished. On Thursday, South Essex Amateur Radio Society will meet at the St Michael's Church in Dawes Heath from 7:30 p.m. On Wednesday, Southdown Amateur Radio Society will have a cafe meeting at 12:15 p.m. This will then be followed by a net on GB3ZX from 2 p.m. Then on Fridays, members meet at the Old Town Community Centre in Eastbourne from 8 p.m. Stevenage and District Amateur Radio Society meet every Tuesday from 7:30 p.m. at the Stevenage Resource Centre. That's on Chells Way in Stevenage, and the postcode is Sierra Golf 20 Lima Tango. They have free tea, coffee and biscuits for everyone attending. They also have a club net, which is usually organised each Tuesday evening from 8 p.m. on 145.450 MHz. They have another net on Thursday evenings on 80 metres, close to 3.727 MHz, and that's using the club call sign at Golf 3 Sierra Alpha Delta. You can find more information on the club's website, which is Sierra Alpha Delta Alpha Romeo Sierra.com. On Sundays, Surrey Radio Contact Club have their net on 1.905 MHz at 9:30 a.m. Then on Monday, they have a net on 3.710 MHz from 9 a.m. On Tuesday, they meet on 51.550 MHz from 8 p.m. On Wednesday, the frequency is 28.078 MHz JS8 mode from 10 a.m. Then on Thursday, they meet on 70.300 MHz from 8 p.m. And on Friday, they meet with D-Star on 144.6125 MHz from 7:30 p.m. with an FM net on 145.350 MHz from 8 p.m. On Sundays, West Kent Amateur Radio Society have their net on 28.730 MHz from 11 a.m. and their Monday net is on 145.375 MHz at 8 p.m. Then on Wednesday, they meet on 51.510 MHz FM before changing frequency. Not too sure what time that one starts, probably 8 p.m. as well. Well, that ends this week's GB2RS News broadcast, which was brought to you by Graham, Golf 4 Juliet Bravo Delta in Meppershall, Bedfordshire. The news was compiled by the Radio Society of Great Britain, who represent amateur radio and radio amateurs in the United Kingdom and abroad. If you have a news item to share, please email it to us as far in advance as possible so we can include it for you free of charge in the GB2RS News broadcast, Radcom magazine and the RSGB website. You need to send it to the editorial team, whose email address is radcom@rsgb.org.uk. The RSGB will retain the copyright over all material transmitted. And the deadline is the Thursday prior to the broadcast, and that's Thursday at 10 a.m. You can find more information about amateur radio on our website, which is rsgb.org. You can also download the full schedule of GB2RS broadcasts from rsgb.org/GB2RS schedule. Well, we wish you 7-3 from the GB2RS news team. We hope you have a lovely Sunday and a great week ahead. And I'll be back again next week at 8 a.m. on 3650 kHz AM. So this is G4JBD now listening for any calls or reports.